Hello, and welcome to our renewable energy assessment proposal. So a little assessment overview. First, we're going to start off with the family's total energy usage. Then we're going to move on to the proposed location. Next, we'll have a wind assessment. Following that, we'll have a bioenergy assessment, and we will conclude with the finances of the entire process. So this breaks down the family's annual energy usage. So as you can see, they use total about 38,335 kilowatt hours per year. And breaking that down a little bit further, they have 20,481 kilowatt hours designated to transportation, another 9,600 kilowatt hours, which makes up the electrical, and then 8,253 kilowatt hours of gas. In this assessment, we'll be combining gas with electric usage, assuming that the house does not use gas. So the proposed site location is in Garland, North Carolina. This 20-acre plot in Sampson County provides the best opportunity for our clients' energy demand. So the total property is 20 acres, but nearly 15 of that is cleared that we can use for implementing any of these renewable energy systems. And along with that, it's a beautiful property, and you'll see why. So some geographical site characteristics. The proposed site for this assessment is, like I said, in Garland, North Carolina. Geographically, Sampson County splits the distance between the Piedmont and coastal plain regions of North Carolina. Although it may seem pretty rural, it's in fact pretty close, and the closest town is just 10 miles from this plot of land. And like I said, this site provides the most optimal space needed to implement specific renewable energy systems and practices. And then we move on to some physical site characteristics. Again, it's 20 acres total, and the property contains 3 main structures. There's a main house, a barn, an additional mobile home, which is scheduled to be removed. Because our client only demands one house, there's an additional mobile home on the property that will be removed to eliminate some of those energy costs. And as you can see from this graphic, there's 2 fields, field 1 and the supplemental field 1, which is roughly 15 acres total. And then field 2, which is field 1 and supplemental field 1 are total 10 acres. And then field 2 is an additional 5-acre field, which we'll be using to implement some of those renewable strategies.
All right, so starting out, the customers would like to offset all of their household energy needs with renewable energy, and we are proposing that they meet all of their electricity and gas needs through wind energy. So as you can see, the family uses about 17,853 kilowatt hours total for electricity and gas usage throughout the year. And this can be broken down into about 9,600 kilowatt hours for electricity and 8,253 kilowatt hours of equivalent of natural gas used for heating and other purposes like that. So we're going to get into a little bit about the wind resource in the area. As you can see, the annual average wind speed at 30 meters, which is a typical hub height for a residential small wind application, isn't that great in the state of North Carolina. It's mostly less than 4 meters per second throughout the state. But however, if you look at the windrows to the right, which gives a little bit more site-specific data, this windrows is from the Fayetteville Regional Airport, which is somewhat close to our site, is the closest that we could get some accurate windrows data for. And the average speed there is about 7.1 miles per hour throughout the year, and that's equivalent to about 3.5 meters per second or so. And this data was taken from a hub height of 57 meters. So as the hub height goes up, the wind resource gets a little bit better. So we are proposing that the customers install a wind turbine on supplemental field 1, and this is due to several considerations that we'll get into more detail. So as you can see from the windrows, the majority of the wind blows from the southwest. Yeah, right there. Throughout the year, and if you go back to the field, you can see that there's really not a lot of obstructions there that would cause any kind of turbulence. And yeah, turbulence is really a huge issue when it comes to small residential wind projects, as that can severely impact the efficiency and the power output of the turbine. So supplemental field 1 minimizes transmission line distance to the main house, which thereby reduces cost, and it reduces overall wind turbulence, which is also better for our customers. So with all that being said, we recommend that the customers purchase a Berge Wind Power Company XL 10 kilowatt wind turbine. So we calculated in our report that the actual size of the wind turbine needed is only 8 kilowatts, but since the wind resource in the area is somewhat poor, the site only reaches wind speeds viable for generation about 25 to 30% of the year. And this is at a hub height of 50 meters, and the cut-in speed for the turbine is 4 meters per second. So we're only getting wind speeds at 4 meters or greater about 25 to 30% of the year. So we thought it would be a good idea to oversize the wind turbine a bit so that the family can still meet their energy requirements with the wind turbine.
I want to talk a little about the bioenergy assessment. So this is just a few overview points. So we're going to have a bioenergy system in conjunction with our small wind system. The bioenergy system is going to be used to meet the transportation specific needs, mostly through ethanol for the cars for the family. Our feedstock will be corn grain. The total feedstock grown will be 15 acres. So we saw there was 15 acres of usable land. So we will be using all 15 of them. With about 1.86 acres being used for the actual transportation needs. And then the remaining 13.14 acres can be sold by the family as corn crop or however they please. So we chose a bioenergy versus a microhydro system. In this case, this is in the coastal plain region of North Carolina. So there's flat land. There's not really any adequate elevation for a microhydro system. And the water resource on the site is really not suitable for microhydro. It's too any sort of flow to occur. And then there's a lot of open land for agricultural production. Obviously, we saw there's 15 acres, which is pretty sizable for a single family home. And then a site has favorable weather conditions for corn production. So the right temperature and moisture variables that we're looking for. And corn is also very prevalent in the eastern portion of the state, although North Carolina is maybe not known for being a major corn producer. Most of the state's corn does come from the eastern portion of the state. So some of the feedstock considerations, an ideal ethanol feedstock would have high glucose content, high availability, low cost, and little competition with food resources. So we look at high glucose content, corn definitely meets that. Corn definitely has high availability, and it's pretty low cost, pretty efficient for its for feedstock itself, and As far as competition with food resources, only about 1/8 of the corn that we need from the site could be used for ethanol production, and the remaining 7/8 of that corn could be sold as food by the family. Some site considerations, so there are 15 acres total, with having corn grown in field 1, which is 10 acres, and field 2, which is 5 acres. The biofuel conversion equipment housed in the main barn, right in between field 1 and field 2. Harvesting and agricultural equipment housed in the main barn will obviously minimize some of the on-site heavy machinery use, which can obviously contribute to energy usage, but overall, that was probably about the best location to put all the agricultural equipment. And then the water resource is located south of field 2, which is very convenient for field 2, but not so much for field 1. So there will need to be special irrigation equipment to get water over to field 1. As far as the site equipment goes, we will have all the biofuel conversion equipment in the main barn. So the milling, saccharification, fermentation, and distillation all be located there. And then sizing for 15 acres goes to just 1.86 acres, will dramatically increase the price. So that's why we definitely recommend going with for the family transportation need of 1.86 acres. And additionally, if we do go with 15 acres, there would need to be potential staffing considerations, which is not ideal for a single family home.
So overall, the renewable energy transition will require a high economic upfront investment. Illinois University published the price of ethanol production by gallon, which was updated in 2020, which was used for the cost estimate for this assessment. The yearly cost to produce ethanol is 15 cents per gallon, which would total to $350 for a year. This site also estimated $2.11 per gallon for initial cost in ethanol production, which would be less than $5,000 for this property. The wind recommendation is a 10 kilowatt turbine, which should produce enough energy for the family. This will cost around $40,000, which will include equipment and installation. Operations and maintenance will also be a factor, mostly in the first 10 years of the system's 20-year lifespan, but will be much less than the initial cost. In addition, it's important to understand that wind energy has a significant economies of scale, meaning it's cheaper per kilowatt hours the larger the system is. In total, this is an investment of $45,000 in the first year. So the Desire website lists many incentives available to the residential sector in this zip code. There's net metering available, which we advise the family to take advantage of. This way, the wind energy credits can be stored and provide financial incentive even when the wind production in a month is low. The U.S. Department of Agriculture offers grants up to 25% of the project cost in the Rural Energy for America program. The NC Green Power has a production credit for wind systems, which can be received via bid process for systems larger than 10 kilowatts or 9 cents per kilowatt hours for systems up to 10 kilowatts. Since the family will be relocating to the property that's currently unused, there may be some energy efficiency updates that can be made to ensure this house contains the same efficiencies, if not better, than their current home. There are several programs run that provide financial incentives for this. They're run by the federal and state government, Duke Energy, Four County EMC, and South River EMC. So there are options no matter what utility company is chosen. Another option is if the wind farm is installed before 2024, there's a 22% tax credit offered by the federal government. Of course, there are always ways to reduce energy consumption that would also financially benefit the family. So there are other energy sources that may prove useful to the family to make this transition. And an option that would lower the family's transportation footprint is to switch to hybrid or electric vehicles. If the family is interested in the switch, which therefore lowers the biofuel crop needed to tend, there are rebate options to offset the cost of a charging station and tax credits. In summary, we believe that the wind and corn for ethanol is the best energy mix to meet the needs of the family. And by using these incentives, the systems described in this report will help the family achieve their net zero goals. So this is all we have for you today. Thank you.